Hello indie game fans, and welcome to the 5,000 subscribers Q&A special. It is a little bit overdue since we are actually creeping up on 6,000, but nonetheless, it's really great to be able to build this community around celebrating indie games. For those of you that don't know, my actual name is Clement, hence Clemmygames, very original I know, and I simply love indie games and I'm here to help you discover great ones and to support indie developers. The channel hit 5,000 subscribers on 19th March 2019, and as an added bonus, it was a couple of days before the 3-year anniversary of the channel. I'm happy that this generally positive gaming channel can gain some traction in a world where anger and outreach culture gets clicks, and I really do love hanging out and chatting with you guys about indie games. Thank you all for the questions, and I'm looking forward to doing more of these in the future. So if your question doesn't get answered, I might have missed it out or haven't had the time to think through it properly, so do submit it again when the time is right. One last bit of admin before we get into the questions. I have actually set up my Patreon page, mostly because my hand was forced, with Patreon rolling out some changes to the site in May as per the graphic shown on screen. Don't worry, no content is going to be locked behind any paywall, so just support me if you can, but of course, no obligation to do so. Sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, thank you all so much for the support, and here's to discovering more great indie games and to support indie developers. Alright, so on to the questions, starting with the basics. Kameng Adisamputra asked whether I'm in high school, college or working, and linked to that, Y2KBot says, how do you maintain balance between work, playing games and making videos? And Trodash says, do you have another job? If so, what kind of job is it? I am working a day job, 8 to 5 in my country, but as is common, the hours tend to spill over past 5 and even on weekends. The channel at the moment is still a thing that I do on the side, but I do eventually hope to transition to doing this full time. On maintaining balance, it's a tough one for sure, and it has to do with efficiency and late nights. As compared to my schooling years, the amount of free time that I have is shrinking by the day, with increasing work commitments, having to make videos for the channel, and having to find time for family and exercise in between. It may not look like much, but making videos is hard work. Not trying to gain sympathy points since this is self-inflicted, but if you have your other favorite content creators on YouTube, do show them some love as well. Basically, be efficient in your work, clear as much as you can as quickly as possible, and then find time to do what is important to you. In my case, growing the channel and talking to you guys. John Pardon, Nakin, and Painting Sound all ask, where or how do you find games to cover? Twitter and Reddit are my two favorite places. Simply follow interesting projects and developers, as well as browse r/indie gaming, and you'll come across quite a number of cool projects. Websites like the Indie Mega Booth and industry events like E3 or PAX are also awesome ways to keep up with what is new, but to be honest, I do spend quite a bit of time checking these out, having a browser open while I'm watching something on the computer just to see what is out there. Of course, I then put these in a gigantic spreadsheet like a crazy person with hundreds of in-development indie games to keep track of, and then show these off to you guys when I feel that they are ready and closer to launch. The next question comes from SetGrub. What is your favorite AAA game? It may come as a surprise to you, but I do still play AAA games, not as frequently, and certainly not live service type games like Apex Legends, but the most recent one would be, of course, The Witcher 3, sprawling RPG world with interesting quest design, great writing, and those Slavic mythological creatures. Going a little bit further back, Blizzard games like Warcraft 3 and the entire Diablo series had a big impact on me as well. Y2KBot again asked, do you own any consoles, handheld or otherwise? Short answer, yes, but not the ones that you are thinking of. I have a 3DS XL and I'm quite enamored with Nintendo games, but I've yet to make the jump to the Switch. Also, I have an original PS1 and a Sega Genesis somewhere around in the house, which are the consoles that I had growing up, but as you can probably tell, I mainly play on PC. Linked to this will be Multimedia Assassin's question, repping the Philippines. Don't you wish Samsung, Nvidia, LG, Lenovo, and other electronic companies would make their own gaming consoles? I'm quite alright with the state of consoles right now, and having too many of these would fragment the market even further. See the Ouya for example. As a result, developers will stick to the platforms with the most people, not really giving any of these other consoles a chance. However, the most recent Google Stadia announcement is a very interesting one, with our streaming future being brought to life as we speak. A no-console is a very interesting idea, although I'm concerned about the future of gaming if all games and titles live on a separate Google server somewhere in the world. MYT Nixon asked the question, what indie game are you most excited for this year? If you watched the top 50 best upcoming indie games video, the answer at that point in time would have been Wargroove, basically Advanced Wars brought back to life. But that was released in February and was very good, so from that list, I would pick Indivisible to look out for. Beautiful 2D art with modern tweaks, seamless transitions between exploration and combat, party-based combat with an almost fighting game-like combos, and so much more. Kitality's Lab says, what was your first indie game that you played? This is a fun one since you can trace back your history of games on Steam. Just click on your wallet dollar value, view licenses and product key activations, and scroll all the way to the bottom. For me, my Steam account started with Half-Life 2, as will be the case for many of us. Then the next was actually the humble Indie Bundle 6 in 2013. I remember purchasing that since I wanted to get back into gaming, and out of that bundle, I picked Bit Trip Runner 1 first, which is why Commander Video has a pretty special place in my heart. From there came The Binding of Isaac, the original, FTL Faster Than Light, Hotline Miami, Dungeons of Dreadmore, and Super Meat Boy, and we were then off to the races. In the same fashion, do check your own profile and let me know what was your first indie game. Coming again asked the question, what is your most played indie game? Outside of idle or incremental games, the one that I've spent the most time with is Stardew Valley. I remember finding out about Stardew a couple of years before the Steam release, and immediately knew that there was something special there. Having played a lot of Harvest Moon when I was younger, the PC optimized quality of life improvements were plus, and it is perhaps the ultimate fantasy of quitting your corporate day job to try something new in a simpler manner. Very happy to see how well the game did, as well as the thriving community and mod scene around that game, although it is really quite a large time sink. Unknown and Trail Dash ask, what is your favorite roguelike or roguelite? Not getting into the gatekeeping behavior behind these two definitions, the roguelite was a godsend for me when I first discovered indie games, since the procedural generation meant that I could potentially have hundreds of hours in these games, which of course was great for my wallet. So the critical difference between the two is that roguelikes, L-I-K-E, must be turn-based, while generally everything else falls under L-I-T-E. So for me, this would be Crypt of the Necrodancer and Rogue Legacy. The first due to the pixel art and the craziness of incorporating a rhythm game into a roguelike, and the latter mainly because it holds a very special place in my heart for being the first roguelite that really hooked me. Some quickfire ones here. Azia Extreme Infinity asked, how would you feel about multiplayer exclusive games like MMORPGs, MOBAs or Battle Royales having single player spin-offs? I'm not opposed, but I don't see a market for it. Dota 2 tried it and I don't think it really worked out for them. Kameng again posed the question, are you interested in creating indie games? Sure, I would like to make an indie game someday, but due to a lack of programming or art skills, I would definitely need a team for that, perhaps down the line. Y2K Bot then asked about when I would possibly do a face review. Well, sorry to say, not just yet. I guess I'll be more comfortable showing my face if I'm able to turn this into a full-time job, so we'll see down the line. Trodash asked the question, what is your most favorite game of your least favorite genre? This was a pretty tough one to answer, since my least favorite genre is horror, and I don't touch any of these at all. I'm just a big baby like that, but I do get spooked easily, and nightmares and stuff are no fun for me. I guess moving up from there would be racing games, and while I do like them, not many recent ones have managed to capture my attention, but my favorite out of the ones that I have played would be 2005's Need for Speed Most Wanted. SetGrab asked, what is your favorite video game soundtrack? The game, not the track itself. The one that would come to mind is Pyre by Supergiant Games. I've been a big fan of the studio ever since Bastion, and I'm also having loads of fun with their current early access project, Hades, but Pyre itself was something pretty special. A mix of weird, mystic basketball with a vibrant world and art style, and even visual novel elements, which I never ever liked previously. It really is a masterpiece in game design. Add to that the gorgeous soundtrack, which is simply a treat for your ears. Highly recommended. Alright, so I think the video will be running a little long by now, but there are a couple more interesting questions. Dave Marianas and Nonfiction asked about my thoughts on the Epic Games Store and their exclusives. The short answer would be I'm not a fan, of course, since I like games to be available on all platforms so that more people can play them, but at the same time, I do see how things have blown out of proportion, and downloading another client on PC is not a big deal as compared to paying hundreds of dollars for a console. While gamer boycotts don't work, the only advice that I have is not to buy these exclusive games if you don't like the business decision behind it. It's a complicated matter, and I have more thoughts to share, but perhaps if you guys are interested, I may do some current affairs and news type videos, so let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Arius says, what are your top 10 personal favorite indie games of all time? This will be a big teaser, but since you guys have requested this, I will be making videos on my personal favorite indie games by genre in the near future, so look out for those. Check the poll on the community page to vote for which genre you would like to see. Finally, rounding off the video, Tree-Genge Rod asked, why did you start making this kind of videos? The intention of the channel all along has to be to support indie developers since they have so many factors working against them. Funding, team size, time, etc. And Steam's floodgates being thrown wide open certainly isn't helping things. I love the unique and fun experiences that these developers make and want to talk about these with someone, that of course being you guys as parts of this indie gaming community on the channel. As such, I find upcoming indie games and highlight great ones that often get buried under the literal hundreds of new releases a month on Steam for you to discover great indie games and to support indie developers. Rounding off the video, in addition to my personal favorite indie games videos mentioned above, there are two changes coming to the channel, the first being sponsored videos. As always, I'm doing my best to bring you guys the best indie games, so I always ask for a playable build before approaching developers for this sort of promotion, so rest assured that these are at the very least good games. Secondly, I have a couple of collaborations planned with other content creators, so look out for those in the near future. So that's a whole bunch of questions, so thank you to everyone who submitted. Some cool stuff in the works on the channel, including a video that I think you guys will really like, so as always, thank you for watching. Please do help spread the word about the channel, introduce it to your friends or others that you think might be interested in indie games, and I will see you in the next video.